I remember when we were in the car and we were driving off from our house that we had sold, and the people were coming behind me. And I was like, well, I was the last one to leave the house, and you and the kids are in the car, and you're like, come on, the people gonna be here any minute. Like, I was having that, I told you I was having like that Martin moment. That last episode of Martin, you know what I mean? When he turning off the lights. It was like slow motion. I was like, yo, 15 years of being in this house is about to come to a conclusion in this moment, and somebody else is gonna live here. And I remember being like, I'm all right, like I'm gonna be fine. As soon as I got in the car, I was like, remember, I was like, don't touch. I was like, if he don't touch me, I'm gonna be all right. I ain't even saying that. I just got in the car and was looking out the window, and you was driving off, and you touched my shoulder. Yo, as soon as your pinky touched my shoulder, I was like, but that's the physical and emotional response of change.
Let's talk about what you feel in the process before you get to, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and just do this. Because I think, we usually see God tells or leads somebody to do something. We usually see them get there.
Yeah.
We don't see there's stuff in the middle that doesn't make sense, doesn't add up. We moved to Georgia with no, you have a cousin in Georgia, but we didn't move here for family or anything like that. And I think it still shocks people to be like, why would they move to Georgia? What were you what's some feelings that you had in we made the decision to move to Georgia? We are actually going to Georgia. There's nothing that's gonna stop us.
The crazy thing is and I don't want this to sound super
spiritual.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're spiritual because we're spiritual beings in the Lord, Jesus Christ. But yo, it's one thing to be cause let me just say this. A lot of things have happened in our lives where if you asked us a year prior, if somebody prophesied it to me, I'd be like, that's a false prophet, or they just got it wrong this time. You feel me? I'll be like, I don't feel that in my spirit. If somebody would have told us maybe 2 years ago that we would be here in Georgia, I would have been like, I don't really discern that. I don't feel that, whatever. I'll put that on the shelf, see what God says about it.
Wasn't a thought.
So I think that's where you actually have to start, where this wasn't some people plan out their lives, in regards to the 5-year plan, the 3-year plan. That's not our story. And
we tried it.
Yeah, we tried it. Remember we had Dallas written on the board? So we knew
in July 2025.
July 2025, we wrote a year prior, we are moving. We knew we wanted something different, and we were feeling that. Even against the hesitation within ourselves to be yo, this is all we know. We can go from one end of the state, left and right, up and down with our eyes closed. And it was yo, we're comfortable, we're good. There's nothing wrong here. And that's another thing. It doesn't always have to mean something's wrong. Because sometimes, I feel people struggle when you depart a place because they think, either you're leaving them or you think you're leaving them. Something had to happen. No, what do you do when all is well? You know what I'm saying? All was well. And knowing that we were thinking Dallas or whatever, we just looking at places that affordability, all these different aspects on a real logical level. And then God starts moving in our lives, starts shifting stuff, showing us he got a plan. And it was yo, he about to do something. Remember we had those moments yo, I feel a shift. Remember, we didn't know exactly what it is, and that's another thing. He ain't gonna tell you. If it's a God ordained thing, expect the Lord not to tell you until the final hour, until you ready to pack them bags, and he all right, start packing, and then you don't even know where you're going. Remember, it's literally, it's yo, I feel it. Let's start packing these bags. It's where we going? I don't know, but we know the God that we serve, and he's up to something, and we're obeying. We want to go in his flow. And the fact that we're down here in Georgia, it was not on the map. if you would have asked either one of us, like, where y'all want to go, it wasn't in the top 5, type 10. You know what I'm saying?
No, it wasn't in the top 5 either.
Yeah, it's like it wasn't the place, but it is where he has sent us. And I'll stop there. We can continue.
So I think feelings wise, one of the things I had a feeling about was, we go to a different state. No one knows us, so that is a good thing because you can start fresh. But then on the flip side, no one knows you. So for me, my main thing that I did was fitness, and that was changing right into like us getting ready to leave. We had we thought we'd made the decision to homeschool Aaliyah, but God did.
God
and
surely did.
He had told us, you didn't make this move, I did. So that happened in March
of 2025.
Yep. And leading into, we came to Georgia to visit in January.
To check it out. We were coming to visit a church. That's what it was, though.
And we had a chance to like check out some towns around and stuff like that. Aaliyah was still in school.
Yep.
And I was finishing school. So we were like, something's going to shift. And then we got hit with the homeschool.
Yeah.
Where that was a transition.
Yeah.
That was a...
But that's the thing. That's the thing about God. When you know you in a God shift, he starts lining up all aspects of your life so that, because he doesn't desire, he doesn't desire to harm us in the process. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like when you start seeing shifts like that, and it's like both of us, I remember that day dropping her off to school, and we were both like, I think when I got home, I was like, something's up. You're like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. So, I remember dropping her off to school, and it was like, we were both like, nah, something's up. And it's like, all we've ever known was that system. My best friend been telling me for a minute, like, yo, consider this. And I'm like, yo, that is beautiful for you, but that is not something we gonna do.
Now, crazy, because on the flip side, there wasn't a day that went by where I wasn't looking at something homeschool.
That's crazy.
So I was like looking either on Instagram or YouTube, and I'm just like, yeah, they just seem so graced to do it. And this lady said something that probably hit me the hardest. They were like, who better to raise and develop a kid than the person who loves them the most? And I was like, and then like it hit me, and I'm not throwing shit at anybody, especially teachers, where they were like, most teachers are following a curriculum that they've made for years. They're really doing behavioral management. So it's not so much that they're just straight teaching one-on-one, but I was looking at stuff every day. So, but I wasn't thinking that we would pull the trigger. Yeah. That what was that like? Being like, all right, Monday, she's home.
One thing. I've always known that this has always been my MO. Like, I will go afraid, y'all. But I was afraid. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna pull the trigger. I'm gonna pick her up and everything. I'm gonna sign the paper. But I was like, we gonna mess this kid life up. That's what I swear. Those were the things that was going through my mind. I'm like, we gonna mess her up. Like, we ain't no teachers. Like, what we doing? But I thank God for community. I thank God for, like, shout out to Heritage homeschoolers down in Georgia. Like, because we saw them online, you know what I mean? Like, when we were just like, what are we doing? But we knew we had to make the move. There were so many things that it's just not conducive to the value systems that we are saying we live by. And it's like, we can't keep having our child in a system that we don't aspire to, just because that's all we've ever known. And we are products of the environment, you know what I'm saying? Like, we are right, but listen, if she don't got to go to therapy, then we want her to not have to go to therapy, you know what I'm saying? But
how did you like, right, we bring the letter to the board of ed, her last days there. Yep. I know for a feeling that came to my mind was, what do I tell her where she's used to going in every day
Yep.
She's used to seeing some friends like at that certain time.
Mm-hmm.
She's used to waking up at the same time and all that
We
stuff.
had a regiment.
It was a regiment.
Yeah.
And I know for me, it felt like a lot of guilt. Like a lot of guilt was with me on the line of I snatched her away from her community.
Mm-hmm.
And God's like, no, I did this.
Yeah, he's
I'm
like, yeah.
You're snatching people away from the community?
Snatching people from school, huh? But that's the thing, right? And it seems like it's so against the grain. That's another thing when you're in transition. You know, remember when Elisha said, Lord, I'm the only one left? And the Lord was like, yeah, nah, you're not. I got some others over here that haven't bowed to Baal. You know what I mean? And then he lets Elijah off. Like, all right, I'll let you ready to bow out? All right, I'll take you up. But then he has somebody else in the waiting, right? Elisha.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to remember in transitions, like, yo, you're not the only one.
No.
Like, it seems like we going against the grain of, like, we're homeschooling because we didn't see it a lot. Then we come down here and it's like, yo, who in school? Like, anybody at school?
The beauty of, we saw last week.
Or, you know, conventional school.
We saw last week where we had a first, like, kind of meet and greet with the homeschool community that we're a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to the picnic and we saw tons of Black families with their kids being homeschooled. And here's the kicker. It was our family and another family that have only been doing it for a year.
Yeah.
Everybody else had like 10 plus years.
And their kids, freaking geniuses, yo. Like, those kids had just a value set in them. They're just, they were built different. They were so loved on. You could just tell. It was I love community. Mm-hmm. Like, I never really thought, that's another thing about transitions too. Like, you start finding out the things that you didn't realize you wanted, especially when you get into a new environment. Like, I never put so much value in community before other than church. Then moving to a whole new space where you know absolutely nobody. I'm like, oh yes, I thrive for community. But I'm also mindful, like, you know, this scene came up, and I don't know, maybe you'll pop it up here, right here in the corner. But this scene came up from Clueless. Remember the movie Clueless? And the girl, Ty, came to the school for the first time, and Cher was like, let me tell you who's at the school. And she's like, those are the rock stars over there. Those are the rappers over there. And sometimes you feel like that when you go into a new space. You know what I mean? The first person that you meet, they might not be your crew. You know what I mean? They might not even be your tribe. But you just meeting new people and you find out new things about yourself. Like, you know, going into co-working spaces or something like that. And you just like talking to people. And it's like the world is bigger than that sphere you were in. Yeah. And it's like, that's what transitions are as well. Yeah. Like, it'll open up your horizons to things you never thought you wanted or even knew you might desire or not like or desire.
That's huge, because when we made the transition from Connecticut to Georgia, we broke the trip of getting to Georgia into 3 trips. But even driving through the states, we were like, things are bigger than what we've known. We've just always seen this little part.